Let's be real, who among us doesn't love a good Costco run? The sheer scale of the place, those free samples that somehow pass for lunch, and the satisfaction of buying enough paper towels to last through the next apocalypse, it's practically a modern American tradition. We love the treasure hunt aspect of it, and more importantly, we love the feeling that we're getting unbeatable value for our money. Especially when you're living on a fixed income or just trying to be smarter with your retirement savings, those bulk prices feel like a financial lifeline. We inherently trust big retailers like Costco. We assume that if a major brand is selling something on massive pallets in a brightly lit warehouse, it must be safe to eat. We figure there are government agencies making sure everything is above board. But what if I told you that trust might be slightly misplaced? What if hidden inside some of those incredible deals on your favorite snacks, bakery items, and pantry staples are ingredients that other developed countries have completely outlawed because they are deemed too dangerous for human consumption? We aren't talking about obscure allergies here. We are talking about chemical additives linked to cancer, hormonal disruption, and cellular damage that are illegal in Europe, yet perfectly acceptable to sell to you here in the United States. And this is extra critical for my older audience members. As we age, our bodies just don't process toxins with the same efficiency they did when we were 20. Our livers and kidneys have worked hard for decades, and burdening them with unnecessary chemicals that the rest of the world recognizes as harmful is a risk we shouldn't have to take just to save a few bucks on groceries. Today we are going to take a virtual walk down those giant Costco aisles. We're going to expose the specific food additives that Europe banned years ago, but are still sitting right there on American shelves, potentially ending up in your cart. This isn't about fear-mongering or trying to get you to stop shopping. It's about arming you with the information you need to make better choices for your long-term health. If you think it's important to shine a light on what's really in our food supply, do me a quick favor and hit that like button right now. It really helps get this crucial information out to more people who need to hear it. Before we start pulling specific items off the shelf, we need to set the stage a little bit. It seems absolutely crazy that a box of cereal or a baked good could be considered poison in Paris, but perfectly fine in Pittsburgh. How does that even happen? The core issue boils down to a massive philosophical difference in how food is regulated here versus across the Atlantic. In the European Union, regulators generally follow something known as the precautionary principle. Basically, this means that if there is credible scientific evidence suggesting an additive might be harmful to human health, even if it's not 100% undeniably proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, they err on the side of caution. They ban it or slap a severe warning label on it until the manufacturer can prove it's totally safe. They prioritize protecting the consumer first. Here in the U.S., the FDA operates quite differently. It's often described as an innocent until proven guilty approach. An ingredient can generally stay on the market until there is overwhelming, undeniable proof that it's causing immediate, widespread harm. And even when evidence mounts, the wheels of regulation turn incredibly slowly here. There are thousands of chemicals allowed in our food supply under a loophole called GRAS, or generally recognized as safe, many of which haven't been meaningfully reviewed by the FDA in decades, despite new science emerging. For seniors, knowing this difference is vital. You have to be your own advocate because the regulatory safety net here has some very large holes in it. So, with that con in mind, let's grab our oversized cart and head over to one of the most tempting sections in the entire warehouse, the bakery and bread aisle. It smells amazing, and those bulk packages of bagels, fluffy white breads, and pastries are hard to resist. But this is where we encounter our first major offender. First on our list is a chemical dough conditioner known as potassium bromate. Now, that name sounds like something belonging in a high school chemistry lab, not your kitchen pantry, and that should be your first clue. In the world of commercial industrial baking, time is money. Manufacturers need dough that rises super fast, stands up to the abuse of high-speed machinery, and results in a finished product that is impossibly fluffy and bright white. Potassium bromate is incredibly effective at doing all of that. It's been a secret weapon in U.S. industrial baking for decades because it makes the process cheaper and faster. Here is the catch, and it's a big one. When potassium bromate is heated during the baking process, it is theoretically supposed to all cook off, converting into harmless potassium bromide. That's the industry defense. But if the baking temperature isn't perfectly uniform or the ratios are slightly off, which happens frequently in mass production, residual amounts of the original carcinogenic chemical remain in that slice of toast you're having for breakfast. Why does Europe hate this stuff? Because potassium bromate is recognized by numerous international health organizations as a genotoxic carcinogen. In plain English, that means it has the potential to damage your genetic material and cause cancer. This isn't new science. The UK banned potassium bromate way back in 1990. The entire European Union followed suit, as did Canada, Brazil, and even China. They all looked at the data regarding kidney and thyroid tumors in animal studies and decided it just wasn't worth the risk. Yet the FDA still permits it here. While some major American grocery chains have voluntarily pledged to phase it out due to consumer pressure, it is still widely used in fast food buns and many packaged baked goods you'll find piled high on pallets. When you're at Costco buying those massive 2-packs of sandwich bread or bags of rolls, you have to become a detective. You need to flip that package over and look closely at the ingredient list. You won't always see potassium bromate spelled out clearly. Sometimes it's hidden under broader, sneakier terms like bromated flour. If you see the word bromated anywhere on that label, put it back on the shelf. For seniors already managing their health, knowingly consuming a probable carcinogen that most of the world has banned is a gamble you don't need to take. But the bakery isn't the only place hiding these secrets. As we move out of the fresh food areas and into the center aisles filled with processed snacks and pantry staples, the ingredient lists get longer, and the discrepancies between U.S. and European safety standards get even more alarming. As we leave the bakery behind and push our carts into the towering center aisles of Costco, the sheer variety of snacks, candies, and pantry staples can be overwhelming. This is the heart of the processed food world, and it is precisely where the gap between American and European safety standards becomes a canyon. In this section, we aren't just looking for one specific additive. We are looking for a cocktail of chemicals that have been quietly scrubbed from shelves in London and Rome, but are still considered standard business practice here. Second on our list of major concerns, following the potassium bromate we discussed in the bakery, is a whitening agent called titanium dioxide. You might know it as E171 if you've ever looked at a European food label. For years, this was the industry's go-to chemical for making things look clean and bright. It makes the white in your coffee creamer look whiter, the frosting on those bulk cupcakes look more pristine, and it gives candies like Skittles their vibrant, opaque colors. It's even found in some brands of cottage cheese and ranch dressing to ensure they look perfectly snowy. In 2022, the European Union officially banned titanium dioxide as a food additive. This wasn't a snap decision. It was based on an exhaustive review by the European Food Safety Authority. They concluded that they could no longer rule out genotoxicity. In simpler terms, there is evidence that these tiny particles can actually damage your DNA. When your DNA is damaged, the risk of cancer and other cellular abnormalities skyrockets. This is particularly concerning for seniors because, as we get older, our body's natural ability to repair DNA damage slows down. We don't want to be eating something that is actively trying to break our genetic code while we're just trying to enjoy a snack. If you're walking through Costco, you'll find titanium dioxide in many of those massive candy variety packs, some of the holiday-themed sweets, and even in certain protein shakes or supplements designed for older adults. While California has recently taken steps to ban it at the state level, a move that is finally forcing some manufacturers to change their recipes, the rest of the country is still playing catch-up. For now, if you see titanium dioxide, or sometimes just color added, on a label of a white or brightly colored product, you should know that Europe has already decided it's not safe for their citizens to eat. Moving further down the aisle toward the massive bags of chips and breakfast cereals, we run into a duo of preservatives that are almost ubiquitous in the American food supply. BHA and BHT, these stand for butylated hydroxyanisole and butylated hydroxytoluene. Their job is simple. They prevent fats and oils from going rancid. This is what allows a giant box of cereal or a bag of potato chips to sit on a warehouse shelf for months without smelling like old cardboard. The problem is that the National Institutes of Health's National Toxicology Program has stated that BHA is reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen. In Europe, these additives are strictly limited or banned in many food categories because they are also suspected of being endocrine disruptors. This means they can mess with your hormones, which regulate everything from your metabolism to your sleep and your mood. For seniors, maintaining hormonal balance is already a challenge, and introducing synthetic chemicals that mimic or block your natural hormones is like throwing a wrench into a delicate machine. When you're looking at those famous Kirkland signature snacks or the brand name cereals that Costco sells in 2-packs, check the fine print at the very end of the ingredient list. You will often see BHT added to packaging to preserve freshness or listed directly in the ingredients. While the industry argues these amounts are small, the cumulative effect of eating them daily in your breakfast, your lunch snacks, and your dinner sides adds up. In Europe, companies use safer alternatives like vitamin E to preserve freshness. If they can do it there, they can do it here, but they won't unless we start voting with our wallets and leaving those products on the shelf. Now, let's head toward the refrigerated section, specifically the dairy and meat cases. This is where we encounter a different kind of additive, one that isn't just a chemical powder, but a hormone. For decades, many American dairy farmers have used a synthetic growth hormone called RBGH or RBST to force cows to produce more milk. While it certainly boosts production, it also increases levels of another hormone called IGF-1 in the milk. Why should you care? Because high levels of IGF-1 in humans have been linked in several studies to an increased risk of breast, prostate, and colon cancers, the very types of cancer that become more common as we age. Most other developed nations, including the entire European Union, Canada, Australia, and Japan, have banned the use of RBGH because of concerns for both human health and animal welfare. The good news is that Costco has actually been a bit of a leader here. Many Kirkland signature dairy products are now labeled as being from cows not treated with RBST. However, this isn't true for every single cheese or yogurt brand they carry in that massive dairy walk-in. You still have to look for that no RBST seal. If it's not there, you might be consuming hormones that the rest of the world has decided are too risky. Before we move on to the final section of our tour, where we'll look at the hidden dangers in the meat department and those famous rotisserie chickens, I want to take a second to remind you why we're doing this. Information is power. The more we know about what's actually in these bargains, the better we can protect ourselves. If you're finding this walkthrough helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're constantly diving into the truth about the products we use every day, especially those of us looking to make our golden years as healthy as possible. Your support helps us keep these investigations going. Third, we have to talk about the dyes. If you've ever noticed that a product in the US looks much more neon or electric than the same product in Europe, you aren't imagining things. We use synthetic petroleum-based dyes like Red 40, Yellow 5, and Blue 1 in everything from flavored waters to pickles and even smoked salmon. In the EU, most foods containing these dyes must carry a warning label stating that they may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. Because of that warning, most European manufacturers have simply switched to natural colors like beet juice or turmeric. But for seniors, the concern isn't just hyperactivity. Some of these dyes, particularly Red 3 and Red 40, have been linked to allergic reactions and even potential carcinogenic effects in animal studies. In fact, the FDA actually banned Red 3 from being used in cosmetics decades ago because it was found to cause cancer in rats. Yet, bizarrely, it is still allowed in our food. You'll find it in some of the maraschino cherries and fruit cocktails sold in bulk. It makes no sense that you can't put it on your skin, but you can eat it. As we wrap up this middle section of our trip, it's becoming clear that the Costco experience requires a bit more scrutiny than we might have thought. Those bright colors and long shelf lives come at a hidden cost, but we aren't done yet. Next, we are going to talk about the pantry trap, the canned goods and prepackaged meals that are staples for many seniors, and we'll finally address the controversial ingredients in some of Costco's most iconic prepared foods. As we make our way toward the back of the warehouse, we inevitably find ourselves drawn to the magnetic pull of the rotisserie chicken station. It's arguably the most famous item in the entire store, a perfectly roasted 5-pound bird for just $4.99. For many seniors, this is the ultimate cheat code for a healthy, easy dinner. It's high in protein, low in effort, and incredibly budget-friendly. But if we look closer at how Costco manages to keep that price so low and the meat so impossibly juicy, we find a few ingredients that have raised serious red flags for international health experts. Third, we have to look at the injection solution used in these birds. If you read the label on a Kirkland Signature rotisserie chicken, you'll see it's not just chicken and salt. It contains an additive called sodium phosphate. In the food industry, phosphates are used to lock in moisture so the meat doesn't dry out under those hot display lamps. While the FDA considers it safe, many European health advocates and researchers are far more skeptical. Excessive phosphate intake has been linked in several studies to accelerated aging, vascular damage, and, most importantly for seniors, an increased risk of kidney disease and heart complications. Because our kidneys become less efficient at filtering excess minerals as we age, a steady diet of phosphate-injected meats can put a silent but significant strain on your system. But the chicken isn't the only concern in the prepared foods section. You'll often see carrageenan listed as well. This is a thickening agent derived from seaweed, which sounds natural enough, right? However, carrageenan is a highly controversial ingredient. While the U.S. still allows it, many European researchers have linked it to chronic gut inflammation and digestive distress. For seniors who might already be dealing with sensitive stomachs or conditions like IBS, carrageenan can be a major trigger. In the EU, while not completely banned in all foods, it is strictly prohibited in infant formula out of an abundance of caution regarding digestive health. If it's not good enough for their babies, we should certainly think twice about making it a staple of our diets. Now, I want to share some encouraging news because the tide is finally starting to turn here in the United States. As we sit here in 2026, we are actually in the middle of a massive shift in food safety. You might have heard about the California Food Safety Act, which was a landmark piece of legislation. It officially banned 4 of the worst offenders we've talked about today, including potassium bromate and red dye number 3, with the ban fully taking effect by early 2027. Because California is such a huge market, many major manufacturers, including those who supply Costco, are already starting to reformulate their products nationwide so they don't have to make 2 different versions of the same item. Even the FDA is finally stepping up. Just recently, they announced a plan to work with the food industry to voluntarily phase out several petroleum-based synthetic dyes by the end of this year. This is a huge win for consumers, but remember the key word there, voluntary. Until these changes are permanent and nationwide, the responsibility still falls on us to check those labels every single time we shop. So how do we navigate Costco without feeling like we're walking through a minefield? It's actually simpler than you might think. First, whenever your budget allows, look for the Kirkland Signature Organic label. These products are held to much higher standards and are generally free from the synthetic dyes, growth hormones, and many of the harsh preservatives we've discussed today. For example, the Kirkland Organic Rotisserie Chicken is a much cleaner option than the standard $4.99 version. Second, try to stick to the perimeter of the store as much as possible. This is where the whole, unprocessed foods live: fresh produce, raw meats, and wild-caught fish. The fewer ingredients on a label, the less likely it is that a banned European chemical is hiding inside. And third, use your smartphone. There are several great apps available now where you can simply scan a barcode and it will tell you exactly what's in the food and if it contains ingredients that are banned in other countries. It takes 5 seconds and can give you total peace of mind before you toss that item into your cart. We've covered a lot of ground today, and I know it can feel a bit overwhelming. But remember, the goal isn't to live in fear. It's to live with intention. You've worked hard to reach this stage of your life, and you deserve to enjoy it with as much health and vitality as possible. By making these small, informed adjustments to your Costco runs, you're taking a massive step toward protecting your long-term wellness. If you found this deep dive into Costco's ingredients eye-opening, please make sure to share this video with a friend or family member who shops there. They deserve to know the truth too. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our future investigations. We're going to keep digging into the products you use every day to help you stay safe, healthy, and savvy. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.